Hello there. My name is Kyle Kline. I'm the coordinator of digital learning at Twin Lakes School Corporation in Monticello, Indiana. You may have heard of it. It is where the famed Indiana Beach is. There is more than corn in Indiana. I'd like to welcome you to today's on-demand video where we're going to talk about micro-credentialing in your school. I'm going to take you through some different steps here and talk about micro-credentialing or badging, and we will see if we can get you started on your way to getting a micro-credentialing system for your district. So a couple of things to keep in mind here. You are able to take control of your learning experience. And what that means is the On24 is a learning platform where you can resize any of the videos, you can move them around, you can make it work for you however you want to see the layout. You can also take a look at the related content box in case there are slides such as these that will be accessible or other resources that you can access at a later time. Feel free to, if you have any questions, to submit them for the Q&A. Even though this is on demand, you'll still be able to ask some of those questions. And feel free to use the toolbar to access any of the other features as you go through this. So with that, let's move on. So today, our overview, we're going to take a look at a sample working micro-credential system. I'm going to take you through some of what mine looks like here at Twin Lakes School District. We're going to create a checklist to help you keep track of some progress. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to view and create a template for our badge criteria, and we're going to start a list of tools for our badges. So let's get going. So one of the first things we should talk about is what exactly are micro-credentials. So you may have seen these in the business world, or they may have seen them in other districts where they are being used as well. So when we talk about what are micro-credentials, according to the NEA, our National Education Association, is a short competency-based recognition that allows an educator to demonstrate their mastery in certain areas. So that could either be with technology tools, that can be with assessment tools, it may end up be with SEL, or it may end up being in a different area where they are working as a coach or something like that. So micro-credentials are also, they're also referred to as badges. So you may hear somebody talk about badging program. Micro-credentials and badges mean kind of the same thing. So the cool thing about it is they are used to let an individual show what they have mastered or demonstrate something that they have taken an interest in, and they want to show that as a representation of some learning that they have done. And this is really important because in the area of education, we are continually learning as educators. There's always something new. There's always a new gadget. There's always a new initiative at our schools or in an area. And so we really want to be able to demonstrate to others our competency in these new areas. I love education. I just had a discussion with a teacher the other day about being a lifelong learner, how we are self-professed nerds because we just love learning new things. And so when I had first heard about the micro-credentialing program from one of my friends that they had set up at their school, I was like, oh, wow, that's a pretty cool idea. So I was like, wonder if that would work with some of our teachers. So what I have done is I had kind of put it off the shelf for a little bit, and then I started noticing some of the emails that would come back from some of my teachers. And their email signature would have some little images of something from like Kahoot or Edulastic. It'd be like a little badge that they would have in their email signature. And what that told me, as somebody that helps schedule professional development for our district, that told me, hey, I can go talk to Steve over here. I can go talk to Nick, or I can talk to Linda over here about, what are they passionate about? What have they taken extra time to learn? And I can say, hey, are you interested in maybe leading a professional development session for these teachers that would be interested in this topic? So it's a neat way to just display some things that you have done, that teachers have done, to really take another step, maybe even out of their comfort zone, and to learn about some new tools that really get them excited. So if you have ever received an email from me, you would notice that I believe my obnoxious email signature has about 8 badges underneath it. And some of those didn't take very long to accomplish, and then there are some that took a little bit longer. So like my Google trainer status, that one took a lot longer to to be able to achieve. And that's just one of those that I'm very proud of because I did take that initiative. And I'm happy to show that off because teachers, especially in my role, some of the educators I work with, that kind of helps solidify some of the things and my background and understanding of Google. So one of the other really cool things about badges and micro-credentials is these can be done at any time, right? They can be done. If you're a night owl, you can do these at night. If you are like to get up early in the morning, get things going before the kids and the family get up, you can do that. They can be accomplished at any time. And like we said, sometimes they may take a little bit, some may take a short amount of time, some may take a little bit longer. So it's just kind of, what is your comfortability? And it's just such a neat thing that we can start doing and really start pushing here in education. So one of our items here is we want to talk about, what are some incentives that you can have from micro-credentials. So for me, a lot of times that digital badge on my email signature is pretty neat. It's something that I can share out. I didn't need a reward for that. But, what are some ways when I started designing our badging program for my district is I started thinking, what are some ideas that I can use to offer to my teachers? And, one of them was PGPs. So depending upon how long this should ideally take, this different badge, how long it should ideally take, do you get one, do you get two PGPs? Do you get a half PGP? So offering PGP points for teachers that, always are looking for those. And if you can get PGPs working at your own pace and at your own time, that's just a great sort of buy-in that you can get from your teachers. Another thing is some financial incentives. So I know some districts have actually taken, once their teachers achieve a certain level, then they get a stipend for that year. Or if they have achieved so many badges, then they get a stipend for either added onto their contract or maybe at the end of the year. Some other nice financial incentives or external rewards are, gift cards. Who doesn't love a good Amazon gift card, right? I could, if somebody hand me one, I would probably just scratch the back off of it right now, pull out my phone and just scan it right into my Amazon account. I love Amazon gift cards. But it doesn't have to be Amazon. It could be something, Starbucks. You could go to Walmart. You can go to McDonald's. You can get all kinds of these different incentives to really entice your teachers. One thing that I really focused on was trying to find some ways I could get our community involved with our education system a little bit more. So I went out into the community and started discussing with some business owners. Okay, what is something that you feel like you would be comfortable with maybe donating to this program for our teachers? Because in the end, if our teachers are taking this extra time to learn something new, that will in turn be showing up in their classroom. And who does that benefit? Well, that benefits the students. And if we start churning out some students with better skills or, they've learned something in their class that their teacher taught them because they took extra time to learn something. Well, who does that benefit? Well, that's going to benefit the community because we're going to have some students that are more prepared. They're going to be, more motivated and items like that. So we want to try to get that community buy-in as well. So when you think of incentives, start thinking about, okay, I could give them a sticker for their email. Okay, great. I could give them a PGP or two, but what's really going to push those teachers? And so that's where those external rewards really come in handy as well. I do know for some districts, these are used in their RISE rubric. So when they're doing their teacher evaluations, they can put this in under their professional development, and they can, they're excited to attach those badges to their standards for success. So that's another route, another place that you can talk to your teachers and talk to your educators or even your stakeholders about, hey, this is something great. We can put this into the RISE rubric, and this is a great way for our teachers to get that effective or highly effective piece. We also want to look at our, what are some different ways we can do this? So one way is you could set it up in an LMS. So you could do it in Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, It's Learning. A good friend that works in the northeast side of the state, and he has created his whole badging through Canvas. And it was really neat that once he showed that, because then he has it set up into modules. So the teachers can go to these different modules and they don't even have to go in order. They can go in the different, they can go into the different pieces. And using something like Canvas, that's where you can set it up so they have to do this piece before they get down to the next piece. It's a wonderful way to organize your each of those different units within your modules. Google Classroom is great because you can set up those headers for the different tools that maybe you're learning, whether it's Google Docs or whether it's going to be quizzes or maybe it might be Desmos or something like that. You can create those into those different headings similar to modules in Canvas, but you can do those different headings and then they have a certain piece there. You can also do websites, Google sites. So with that, I'm going to take you to our Google site that I have created for and continually revamping and updating for Twin Lakes School Corporation. So let me get out of here and let's have a look at our TLC Badge Project. So this is our Twin Lakes School Corporation Badge Project. And as you can see, the very first page is, okay, what is a project? Does it actually entail? Then you scroll down a little bit for what is a digital badge. And I also added a Google form where they can actually create their own badge. So if they create their own badge or if they have a badge request, what they can do is I'm allowing them to also gain a PGP this is the wrong one. I'm also going to add that piece where if teachers, I feel very comfortable with something and I haven't created that badge yet, then they're going to be able to actually offer that up. That's a different Google form. Sorry. This is the one where they submit their evidence. So when a teacher goes into one of these topics up here, the Google, the Microsoft, the special badges, assessment, or distance learning, then they go to the front page here. They'll type in their first name, type in their last name, their email address, and that's really important because then that will send them an email back. What building are they in? They have to tell me what badge they are submitting evidence for, so I'll show you those in a moment. And then they have to paste a link to their evidence. So in order to acquire a badge, they either have to submit a Google Doc with some of their evidence on it, or they're going to have to do a Loom video or a Screencastify, so some sort of screencasting where they can show evidence of their learning. What did they do? Did they meet all of these check marks? So that's what the front page looks like. It'll continue to evolve, and I'm sure I'll get some better looking pictures on here as well as we go through. So as we go through these, I'm going to show you the Google site here first, and then we'll move on to the others. They're all very similar to this. So as you go to the Google page, there's a Google Potpourri, so Google Search, Chrome extensions. Chrome is the new metal. Those are some fun activities. So I have a couple for calendar, I have 3 for classroom and docs. You can just scroll through here. We have all these different tools. And I only have one for Keep. I only have one for Google Maps, but that means, hey, I can still create a couple more, right? So I do have, I cut off at 3 because what I have is a bronze, a silver, and a gold level for each of these topics. You also notice that we have our school mascot, either 1, 2, or 3 colors. And these badges were created in Canva. Just so simple because I love Canva. They're just nice and able to just be able to, take your template that they have, change the colors, and create something, and then copy it over and over again and just make some of the changes. So, well, what do each of these entail? So I will give you a quick little glimpse here. So I like going into my Google Docs. So if a teacher clicks on this badge, this will take them to a Google Doc where they're going to be able to learn about what all does a Google Docs 1 badge entail. So here we have this pulled up. So at the very top, we have our title. We have our Google Docs 1 badge. What does it entail? How to earn this badge? And we have to give some reminders of make sure you make it anyone with a link can view. So in this case, there are 8 different bullets or 8 different boxes that they have to check off. So here we have to create a Google document that can explore the tools. We also have, where we can use a naming convention. So we want to title all of these the same, right? We're going to have to add content. And they go through these different pieces. So then finally, when they are done, when they create this Google Doc and they have to share it, they hit the submit button. And when they submit, that's going to take them to that same Google form where they are going to submit their evidence. The neat thing about that is I have the Google form set up. I receive an email once the teachers submit that. So I know that I can go in and check those, because if I didn't set up that notification, then I could have teachers adding stuff all the time and I will never go in, right? So that's just one of those things that when you use Google Forms, I'm using these Google tools, use some of those extras. So that way you don't always have to go back and check. You can always you can always just check your email. Everything in my job feeds through my email. So this is a great way to do that. So this will take them right to the Google Doc. That Google form. The Google form is right on the front page as well. If I go back to my home. And so this is just like a quick overview of what ours looks like. And that's kind of what my workflow is going to be. Once I have this created and I keep adding badges, Google Sites is just so simple for me to go to these different pages and to add a badge, add a link to the Google Doc that shows what evidence or what criteria they have, and then I can go to the form. I get an email from the form once they submit it. So it's a great workflow that has worked for me very well. And if you don't have to use Google Sites. If you want to use a different Weebly, or if you want to use WordPress, something like that, feel free. But I love being able to use the website for this, using Google Sites. So let's move on here. Let's say I have those a little goofy. Micro-credentials. Before I started creating, I had to make sure that I was creating all these different pieces for all of my badges. So in this case, I made a Google sheet, a spreadsheet, and I had what the badge names were, but then I also had a checkbox for, did I create the badge? Was the criteria created? Did I add it to Badger? Because I use Badger to disseminate the badges and share those out to the teachers and educators in our district. And then did I finally put it on my website? So did I finally put it on Google Sites? So when I create this spreadsheet, go to it here, I can put the spreadsheet in here, and you can see all of the different Google items that we've created so far. And then a list of myself and my friend Barry, who has helped create these as well. So it is so helpful to be able to go in here, just check, because when you have about 6-7 tabs open, it's easy and you have different people asking for help, emailing you, calling you. It's easy to get off task and forget, oh gosh, where was I? So I think having a checklist, something similar to this, is going to make your workflow so much easier once you get into designing here. So that's what our spreadsheet looks like. And then finally, if we get back to the very end here, this will be the last thing we discuss. So what badges should you create? Okay, are you a Google district? Are you a Microsoft district? We have both in my district. So I've created badges for Microsoft and for Google. Every school is unique. You may have some rural schools. You may have some suburban schools. You're going to have some affluent schools that have a lot of programs that, the teachers, they really want to kind of push for the teachers to use, but you're also going to have some other options for, you may have some other schools that don't have as many options. So, what do you want to focus on? What are things that your teachers really use? So when we look at that, I started with our paid programs. Okay, what does our district pay for? Well, we pay for different things like MobiMax, BrainPop. So I wanted to create badges for those. We are a G Suite district for the most part. I did say we're both, but we're Chromebooks and K-12, and we have our K-5 teachers all use Google Classroom. Our 6-12 teachers use Canvas. So there are some different badges for the Google Classroom. Canvas is going to have its separate tab, because once I start creating some different things for like modules, by using modules, okay, you're going to need to show your evidence of your knowledge of modules by clicking on this, and having these criteria done. So I started with what programs did we use? What tools do we use? If you use district assessments, maybe use Pivot, maybe use iReady. What are some programs that your entire district uses? But you really want your teachers to understand those. So you want to give your teachers those options. It's also really good for those teachers that are pretty comfortable with Pivot, iReady. They're like, oh, hey, I can get a badge for this. This may not take me very long. So your teachers that are pretty familiar with those tools, they can get in there and they can dig and knock out a badge or two. So that with those tools. And then finally, do you want to include any external tools? So something like that is if you go to Quizzes or you go to Kahoot, they have an external badge where they have their own badging program. Canva, Adobe, you can go there and they have different requirements. So I'm going to add a Google form, or I do have a Google form where teachers can submit, hey, I have this badge from this external tool. Can that work? Does that count as one of the badges? I'm like, heck yeah. I mean, you've already done the work. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to redo all that work for me. So that is kind of an overview of what we have done here at Twin Lakes School Corporation with our badges and our micro-credentialing. This is our first session and 3 about how to, what's the setup, what is micro-credentialing. Session 2 and session 3, we're actually going to get in there. We're going to dig a little bit deeper, and we're going to show you how can you create these. I'm going to take you into Google Sites, show you how to get into Google Sites. I'm going to take you into Canva and show you how to design these within Canva, and just finding a template that works for you, adjusting some of those pieces, and making it really work for you, creating your checklist and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Feel free to reach out to me either on Twitter or on email if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you in session 2. Have a great day.